Do I talk into that too?
Yeah,
Do you pass it to me?
we'll pass it.
Oh,
Yeah, this is the only mic I have in the
okay.
jungle.
She has a mic in the jungle.
I do.
Nice.
So, we're so grateful that you're here. As it happens, we're both in the jungle and we are going through, as always, our spiritual growth. And it
Yes.
seems like we're kind of aligning, kind of on a vibration that I feel like we were put here to do the retreat together and to talk about what growth we're going through. Because we met the other day and we're like, I'm going through this. And you're like, I'm going through the same kind of vibration. And so, what I want today is to kind of share your revelation of what you've come to know this past few months that we've been here. And maybe I can share mine too, but there is a power held that is very strong in this place. I think we both agree. And when I look back at my journey of how I first came here 12, 13 years ago when Blue Spirit first opened up, and the journey that led me to that, and the people that introduced it to me, and where I was at that point, and arriving here and being on the beach and being like, wow, this is a special place. And all the things that have happened to guide me and lead me to finally be here. Because I always lived for, oh, one day. And now I'm all about no, today. Like, I want that today. I want to live today fully. And now my spiritual journey and alignment with that which is greater, and the messages I'm getting is say the name of God, and a lot of people don't like that, or they associate it with the church or other religions. But I think that it's really important to remember that God is not a religion and not a we can't box it into something. It's just the source. And so that's becoming very clear for me. And you said something about vibrations and vibrating on a certain level. And since we have had that conversation, again, my life is changing because I'm like, okay, no, what would it look like if I stay in that aligned place with that vibration that I have found with God, or which is the greater? What would I be? Who would I be if I showed up as a wife with that vibration, or as a mom with that vibration? And so I want you to, tell us more about that and everything else that you're experiencing in the jungle.
First of all, just wow. I think that what comes up in the beginning is we often don't look at our lives in terms of a decade. I don't know about you, and I don't know about you, but often I wake up and I feel that I haven't done as much as I should. I'm not growing as much as I need to, and things aren't happening as fast as I think they should or as powerfully. But I just have full body vibrations. When you say 12 years ago when I first came here, what was my life like? Because I too came here about 10 or 11 years ago and landed in Nasara, and then went to Blue Spirit and sat in the ocean and felt the power of this place. And I knew that I was forever changed, and that there was medicine here for me. I didn't know exactly what medicine. I didn't know how I'd ever find my way back here. I was leading a retreat here, and it was early on in my retreat leading years. And at that point, I was leading one retreat every year. And now I'm leading 3 or 4 or 5. And then brings me to one with you in February at Kesses Kismet here in Nasara. So excited. And I guess what you just said also reminds me that 10 or 11 years ago, I was not aware of what you just mentioned, frequency and vibration. I didn't know God the way that I know God now. And so, yeah, I think I just want to begin by saying what a powerful practice to look at your life 10 years ago and see how you've changed and grown and connected and let go of things. To remind yourself of what a powerful journey you're on. And so I just kind of want to bow to just what you said at the beginning and say, wow. And yeah, look at you. Like you came here on a retreat probably or training. And you now are creating a space here to live, but also to have a place for people to practice and to come on retreat with you and to drink your medicine and to share practices that have changed your life. So you're not only leading retreats here at another place, which is great, super excited about the retreat that we're leading, and hopefully we'll always do that together. But Paris is also creating a space here where she can bring healers and people and sound people and people like me and other people to share this gift. Like, wow, 10 years. So I too am really interested in this idea of frequency and vibration. And the way that it came to me first, so I'll say I'm working on a book right now about frequency and vibration, about healing. I'm not sure what it's called, but it might be called The Frequency of Love. And I've been working on it for a long time, for about 3 years. And right now I'm having this realization that a part of me understanding frequency and vibration was being in the darkness. So I kind of want to say that at the beginning before we go into frequency and vibration, because I think it's really easy to think like, oh, I just need to vibrate high. Yeah. You know, I really want to connect with God and goodness or source or cosmic currency or whatever you call it, high prana, vitality, love. And yes, we do want to add more light to the world, I think. I do, at least. I think you do. I want to add more love. And I recognize that my vibration is one of the highest offerings that I can do that with. Yeah. So, but I also think it's really important, at least for me, to say, I've been on this journey of healing. You know, I'll say like a full journey of healing for 25 years. So I'm turning 58. I got sober when I was 35. I was an addict and an alcoholic. And yoga got me sober. The sweat, the movement, the churning of the body, the releasing and clearing of places where I was blocked, which I now understand so clearly with like Besser Van der Kolk, the body keeps the score, we hold trauma in our bodies. So if you're unaware of the trauma in your body and you're numbing with food, which I still do, or alcohol or drugs or obsessive controlling or buying things or worrying or anxiety, or maybe you're just really depressed, the beginning stage of coming into contact with your true frequency, which for me, the true frequency is what you said. It's the power of the divine, whatever you call that. We can call it Dharma, which is a Sanskrit or Buddhist word for the truth. We can call it spirit, prana, chi, energy, frequency, vibration. So when I first came to practice 25 years ago, all I know about my vibration was it was too painful to feel. I couldn't feel. I was numb, and I was doing lots of drugs and alcohol and smoking and other things to keep myself numb. So I began to become aware of frequency and vibration by moving. By moving my body, right? Forward, backward, twisting, up, down, clearing the energy, feeling. And then there was about really literally like 15 years, 20 years where I sat in my shit, in all the pain, all the discomfort, all the, right? And so I know we want to talk about frequency and vibration, but for me it's so important to recognize, like, we have to be with the dark side. You know, we hear it in so many different ways. The dark will reveal the light. The stars are best seen in the dark sky, you know. The wound is where the light gets in. So part of aligning with high frequency and vibration for me is this willingness to be in the mud, right? The mud from whence the lotus grows. So I would say, yes, let's talk about frequency and vibration, but let's also say that the courage to go deep into where you feel stuck, overly activated, in controlling, depressed, pushed down, unavailable, numb, to be kind and generous with those places is probably number one.
Yes, I so agree with that.
Really look at the sludge. And it might, like Jack Kornfield says, with the metta meditation, right? So traditionally we offer metta to ourselves, to others, and then to the world. But he says, you might offer metta to yourself for years and years and years. Metta is love and kindness before you're truly ready to offer it to someone else.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Can you say something about that?
Yeah.
So I just want to say, and I just want us to really register this. Step one is, if we are in that darkness, if we are really stuck, and in Ayurveda we call this tamas. So the mind has 3 gunas, 3 states. If you're stuck in the darkness, one of the first rules is you cannot go into sattva. Sattva being the state of mind, being connection to the source, being balance and clarity, can only come through tamas, which is action, which is what you intuitively did.
Okay. What's
So
the
that's
lower
that-
one called?
It's called tamas.
Okay.
So
and what's the action called?
Rajas.
Rajas. Okay.
So we come out of the mud
The
only
tamas.
when we take action. And this is so important. And for all my patients and my students of Ayurveda, we talk about this a lot because people think if someone is depressed, don't ask them to meditate. That's not going to work. If someone is depressed, just get them to take action, any kind of action, to take them out of that muddiness, you know. And another thing that I want to emphasize, you said, is we find, so through that action, then we find the lotus. Then we create, the lotus is allowed to show up. It's the sattva. Yeah, that's the alignment. And we find that by doing the work and doing it again and looking at our shadow self. I think this is very important because a lot of, there's this thing with the yoga industry and like, you know, positive kind of being positive. You can't shortcut being positive. You can only see the light once you turn the light towards your shadow first, towards your darkness first. What are more and more asking questions. I ask myself this all the time. Where am I still stuck? What parts are still stuck? What like little corners of me are still going back to, habitual ways of being in the past, or they're stuck in the patterns of behavior that probably in the first 6 years of life, the samskaras that were created, the habitual ways that were created because of whatever, what reason. Our caregivers could say, be nice, be quiet, go to the corner, be a good girl. And you take that as, oh, if I'm myself, if I'm loud and speak with my entire voice, I'm bad. So let me go hide in the corner. And so what parts of me are coming still from that place? And there are so many parts, and there's so much healing to be done. But finding that alignment and vibration and making it, if you've been there and if you have been able to align yourself, keeping your eyes on that reward and just every day working towards it, every day doing little bits of looking at your shadow, turning towards the light, looking at your shadow, turning towards the light. And I just wanted to kind of say that as step one of what you mentioned and how important that is. And now, if you can tell us more about the others.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will, I feel like we could just talk about every little thing forever, because I will also just say that again, and I think I did say it, but for me, I agree 100% with what you're saying, but also for me, there's that sitting with that darkness. So not even, moving from the darkness to the light, but like you offer yourself metta for as long as you need. And for me, it was almost 20 years of being in that. At the time, I was frustrated and I thought it should happen faster. I think many of us feel that way, right? Like, why am I not feeling better? And I guess, it's just coming clear to me that as long as you need to, this is how I feel, as long as you need to sit in the darkness, you will sit in the darkness. And yes, within that, the practices that you have will hopefully give you little streams, little shooting stars, little sunbeams of light, of God, of Dharma, of truth, of what would it be like to live in that space? And then my journey was sort of moving out and in and out and in. And so from the darkness, like you said, to the light, from the darkness to the light. And I would say there are many, many ways to move into that frequency of light. And this is really what my book is about, the different tools that are in a toolbox that can help you once you recognize that there is light and there is darkness. And you tend to your darkness, and you feel it's time, you're ready to connect with the light. How do you do that? Well, I think we said one of the very most powerful ways is to move. To move. And I'm sure as a Ayurvedic practitioner and as a yoga teacher, and for me as a yoga teacher and somatic movement teacher, we can look at people and work with people and sense what movements might bring them out of that stuck place, into the fire, the rajas, right? We call this the tapas in Sanskrit. The agni, the fire, this is the alchemical transformation from lead, the dense substance, into gold. So we begin to work with the denseness. What do you call it? The tamas. The tamas. So we work with it in the rajas. And we're moving to that sattvic place. And we're getting little glimpses of the sattvic. And then movement might lead you to breath work. Right? So often movement practices will introduce some breathwork practices, because the way I understand this channel of energy that's in our bodies, Again, when it's stuck or blocked, we won't feel so good. When it's overly activated, we won't feel so good. When it's more balanced and equal, then I believe we can connect in something that I call a harmonic resonance with whatever quality heals our heart the most. We might call it God, love, service, joy, right? Faith, yeah, we can bring that in. So we need to move. We need to clear the pathways of the body. And then perhaps we do some breath work. So your energy, your prana, your spirit, your chi, your vitality is in your breath. Pranayama, as you know, pranayama means to restrain. Yama is restraint, and prana is energy or spirit. So pranayama breath work is literally to guide and restrain the energy, the frequency, the vitality in your body. So movement's a really incredible way, and breath work's a really incredible way to begin to balance the energies, to pay attention to them, to begin to guide them, so that your energy is no longer guiding you. You are in charge of your energy. And a really simple one that lots of people know about, but if you are depressed, down low, or overly activated, and you just simply take an inhale through your nose, let's do it together. Hold the breath, get soft, and then sigh out your mouth with a little sound. Pause here for a moment, and then inhale. And let's take O. And one more, inhale. Any sound you like. And then you just breathe. However, we can feel right away that we have harnessed our biochemistry. Our nervous systems are back online. We're able to regulate with each other. Yeah, I feel Paris's resonance. She feels mine. We've cleared some space. And then what I believe too is that we can begin to pick up the resonance of the planet, of the beauty of the ocean or the trees or the sand, the forest. So the world, like nature, resonates at around 7.5 hertz. We generally resonate around 5. So we beings, bodies, are living naturally in a lower vibration than the earth. So just take a couple breaths and it's like, oh, you let that frequency come inside you. You kind of connect with a vibration that's higher than you. We probably have to have another podcast about all the different ways in the toolbox that you can begin to change or regulate or attune or align your vibration. But I will say about vibration, and this is what we talked about the other day, that I am coming to believe, I think I actually believe, that your frequency, the energy that you emit, again, call it prana, spirit, chi, vitality, source, the energy that you give out is your most powerful means of communication. It is a broadcasting YouTube channel that is housed within you, that is always working 24 hours a day. It is not confined by walls. It doesn't even need a microphone. Quantum physics tells us that the particles from my voice affect the stars at the farthest edges of the galaxy. We have all had the experience of walking into a room and feeling a vibration of someone who's had an argument, a low vibration, maybe someone's been talking about you or there's been a fight in the room. So the energy that you give off, it doesn't even need you present for it to be broadcasting. Your body, your physical body can leave and your energy system's still there.
Yeah.
We also know when we walk into a space or toward a person, even before we can see their eyes often, we feel their presence. If it's a loving presence, I'm sure everyone's had the feeling of walking into a room. You can't even maybe see the person. You can't see them, but you feel that someone in the room loves you. Yeah? So this is my sort of aha in the last few weeks of Nosara. It's that you and I and every single being are housing an energy channel that is always sending out a signal. And then, my next kind of thing is it sending out the signal? Are you broadcasting what matters to you?
Yeah.
Are you broadcasting from your heart? So once we say, okay, I get that I'm always sending out a signal. Okay, I'm always sending out a signal. Okay? It's a powerful signal. Thich Nhat Hanh said you can heal the earth by the way you walk on her. So he was saying that the way that we move in the world has a healing resonance. So are you aware of the energy that you're sending out? Sometimes I wonder with women who are really unkind to other women, they send off it's not just women, but I'll just use women as an example, send off that kind of antagonistic energy, like not friendly, not safe. Do they know they're sending out that vibration? Is that the vibration that they actually want to send out to the world? So this is really my aha. Do you know what energy you're sending out? Are you aware? Is it in alignment with what matters most to you? So Paris and I said the other day, well, what matters most to us is healing and faith and sacred connection and service and love and interdependence. Okay, then, what is it that we can do in our lives? What practices? And we both know them right away because we talked about this. Can we do in the morning, before we go out into the world, maybe before we parent, maybe before we have that difficult conversation with our spouse, maybe before we see our Ayurvedic clients or teach our yoga classes or write our book? What do I need to do to align my frequency with the frequency that I want to offer the world today? Yeah? And we both said, we like to sit on the earth, right? We like to be in that powerful vibration. We like to meditate, so connect with God. Both of us like to make sound. Yeah, we like to chant. This is a very powerful vibration. There are so many tools, and thankfully there are people like you and people like me who've spent our lives learning about these tools. And now I get giddy. I'm like, and we get to offer them to people.
Yeah.
And one tool might resonate with you. Yeah? Like I remember the first time, like you said, meditation isn't probably good for someone who's depressed. Absolutely. When I first started practice, I was super depressed all the time. And meditation was another form of slow death. Took me deeper in my stuckness. It made me feel like I wanted to kill myself more. And I don't say that lightly. I have many times wanted to take my life. And I've tried a couple times when I was young. I've experienced depression and that stuck tamas energy. It makes me cry. Like I've lived for a long, long time in places where my vibration wasn't connected. And so again, it just kind of brings me back and say, there are many tools, and we have spent the last few decades of our lives practicing them, and figuring them out, and now offering them to other people. But yes, I am really obsessed with this understanding of the powerful impact that you and I and every human being can have simply by honing and tuning our vibration to whatever feels like the highest form of love for you and for any being. I don't want to say God. For me, it's God, but maybe for you, it's joy, or it's generosity, or grace, or faith, or service, justice. That resonates, especially now in the world, maybe justice and a place for everyone to be heard and loved. But again, I don't know that it really matters what you want to resonate with, as long as you know what it is. And then you know some tools that you can do to come into alignment with it. For me, when I'm in alignment, I feel like there's an ocean, a wind in my body. And it's, for me, coming from the divine. And it's a powerful light that I believe emits a frequency that is undeniable. And I'll say one more thing about frequency and then I'll stop, which is that there is scientific proof that vibration calls to other vibration, which means there is scientific proof that when there is a low vibration and a high vibration, the vibrations will call and entrain. Either the low is so powerful it's going to try to drive down the high, or if the high is very powerful, very connected, it will literally rise. It will lift the lower vibration. And this to me becomes a really fascinating tool about vibration and frequency. So not only can we heal our own bodies, affect the quality of our liver, our skin, our biochemistry, we can then emit a signal that other people are aware of, they pick up, and if they're vibrating lower and they choose and are willing, their energy can be lifted by a higher vibration. So this to me is about using our vibration to change the world. And it's not just me that thinks this. I mean, there's an incredible book right now by Thomas Hübl called Attunement. I think it's on the New York Times bestseller list. Dan Siegel talks about this. I mean, vibration and frequency are being studied now as the foundation of social justice, of peace in the world, of what it means to take a frequency that says, you're safe with me, and I want to hear more about how you feel. And I want to listen deeper to where you don't feel safe. And then we begin to make that harmonic resonance. And I think it's a life-changing, world-changing understanding. And I'm grateful that we're experiencing it together. And and I'm reminded of a very powerful teaching in the Kundalini tradition. And I heard it years ago and I loved it, but I didn't really understand it. And it said, if your vibration, your energy doesn't heal them, doesn't teach them, your words won't. If your frequency doesn't teach them, your words won't. And I've experienced this myself when in relationship with my son at different challenging times. I've said the words of, I love you, everything's great, you know, like I prepared for it. It's like, oh, everything's so wonderful. I'm so happy with everything you're doing. But inside I was like feeling like, why are you doing that? Like, why is, you know, why are you making these choices in your life? I'm worried about you. I don't feel that things are okay. You know, that was how I really felt. But my words were making that like, oh, you're so wonderful, everything's so... And within 5 or 6 seconds, he would look right at me and he would say, what did I do now? What's wrong now, Mom? Yeah? So this is another important thing about vibration. If your words and your vibration aren't congruent, right? Yeah. You're not in alignment, you're saying something, but something else is true for you. People will believe your energy.
Yes.
Not they'll be like, there's something
words.
odd going on, but I have no faith in them. So, and I will pass the mic to you after this, another thing I would say is, if you have a message, something you want to offer the world, whatever it is, get your channel clear and in alignment, and your broadcasting system will be 1,000 times more powerful, because you can say whatever you want, but if your energy isn't congruent, it won't manifest or reap or affect in that way. And I think both you and I have experienced this in our lives.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Lisa. Oh, how beautiful. And that reminds me of, you know, they did a study about frequency and what each person was feeling. So they put a bunch of people in the room and they measured the frequency of their feelings. Okay. And up until not too long ago, we thought love was the highest frequency. Okay. But what they found was love is very high in the frequency chart, but authenticity was so much higher than love. And what that means is showing up as ourselves. And you know, in the first 6 years of life, we are ourselves. Children come into this world with all of their light, and that's why you mentioned the example of your child. Children feel vibration and frequency because they're still so connected. But we just keep telling them, oh, don't do that. Oh, don't be so loud. Oh, stay here. We keep limiting their frequency until they kind of push it to the side and kill it in a way, because it doesn't work for them. But children are so authentic. They don't come into this world with an agenda to be somebody else. As my guru Babaji says, children come into this world whole and connected, and then we ruin them. And so if we can figure out what that persona is that we have created, and we all have done it, and it's to keep us safe. So there's no judgment. And look at it with curiosity of like, why did I think I should show up as somebody else other than myself so that I would fit in, or so that I would be loved, so that I would be cool? And so if you take all of that away and look at it and then say, no, who am I underneath all of that? The light of me. And again, in Ayurveda, we call that the Atma, the soul, the spirit. And the spirit knows it has a wisdom, and it comes to this world with a wisdom that we don't often listen to. And when we do these practices, we're not creating, Lisa and I are not here to create something extra or bring you something you don't know. We're just showing you that you can clear up the layers so that you can see the light that shines within your own heart, that it is always in your Atman, has always been, that conscious awareness that maybe you have lost connection to, because that's what our society encourages us to do, that's what our schools encourage people to do and children to do. And so you just remember that this wisdom, this conscious awareness, this knowledge exists inside of you. And when you connect to that, you know. It's like you said, that I feel like the ocean's flowing through me. I feel the same way when I teach Ayurveda or when I see a client. It's like as I see the light come on and they see the light within themselves, there's nothing that can explain that. I'm like, this is my dharma. And now I've just been a conduit between the source and this beautiful human being for them to remember that the source is inside of them. And that's our job. We're just conduits.
Well, that's kind of exactly what I had just said in a different way, which is entrainment. And again, to me, it sort of comes back to when we're doing this work, we want to be connected with Source. Yes. And I think, Paris, is really, there were so many things that you just said that I was just like, wow, oh, wow. But I think one of the most important ones is this remembrance of wholeness. And the idea that you just shared, which is, I 100% agree. This isn't about making people any different. This is about allowing or connecting or remembering with what is already here. Yeah? And then I also just want to touch for a moment into what you said about the highest frequency of all being authenticity. So to me, what authenticity also might be called is living in your wholeness, being your whole self. And I've been fascinated recently with the connection between whole with a W in the English language, W-H-O-L-E, and holy, H-O-L-Y. And to me, they're entwined. When we're whole, Atman and Ayurveda, connected with Source, Spirit, remembering who you really are, said the Buddha. Remember who you really are, you sons and daughters of the awakened one. Remember your true nature. So yes, absolutely, these practices are ones that clear the blocks. Movement, breath work, intention, mantra, clears blocks that have been built up, resistance that manifests as depression, anxiety, difficulty moving, breathing, all the different manifestations that are literally blocking your Atman, your whole self, which again in the Buddhist or Sanskrit text is referred to as the Dharma, the truth of the world, which is, in this practice, the practice of yoga, and certainly in my life, the truth is that you are connected to the divine. Always. The divine is inside you, around you. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Hindu text, it says yoga is the realization that the divine lives inside of you just the way you are. Or returning to the wholeness. Absolutely. When you live in the wholeness, in your wholeness, in that connected frequency, then the river is running inside of you. You are connected to the frequency of the universe. You are a channel for that. And we all are that naturally. Absolutely. And again, I'll say, isn't it wonderful that there are so many different tools to help us remember that? And it does come down to how we eat, how we move, how we breathe, how we sleep, what we put on our bodies, what we smell, what we do in our day, what becomes important to us. You know, I think both you and I would agree that the first hour, 75 minutes of your day, what do you pay attention to? This is so important in connecting your vibration with what matters to you. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Lisa. That's so beautiful. And yeah, just becoming more mindful. We'll finish the conversation just saying, what can you do to be more mindfully aware of your life? So many people just wake up and they're mindless because the habitual way the body loves having habits, and it just after day 30 is just going to get up and habitually go and make a coffee first thing in the morning. And there's nothing wrong with coffee. I always tell my clients I love coffee.
I love
coffee. Mindfully, what you put first thing in the morning in your body, and then you enjoy your coffee.
Paris taught me that I wasn't supposed to put coffee first thing in the morning.
No.
But here, I'll just share, I haven't managed to do that yet. I still have my espresso first thing in the morning. You know what I do when I have my espresso? Is I take a moment And I remember that the coffee beans were seeds from flowers, and that the earth gave them to us, and that they were made by the source. Whoever made those trees that had those flowers and those seeds, and whatever wonderful beings ground them up. And then I sniff the coffee, and I remember how connected I am, and how I believe that whatever source made those coffee seed beans, those tree seed beans, made you and your beautiful children and my beautiful child. And that same source made the hummingbirds and the oceans and the jungle, and that we're part of all of it. And I'm sure Ayurveda says, and then we put that inside of us. And so we recognize that what we're putting in us is part of the earth, as a blessing.
Absolutely.
And so, you said be more mindful. And I would love to say, okay, I'll be mindful with my water and lemon. But if water and lemon isn't available for you to be mindful in your first breath. Be mindful by putting your hand on your heart, and be mindful as you sip whatever it is you're sipping, as natural as it can be.
I'll say one last thing about that.
Yeah.
My teacher used to say, if all else fails, tap your prana into the food. So what that means is what you just said. Your mindfulness, just taking a moment and like putting your intention into this, whatever it is. May you nurture and nourish my tissues. May you heal me, no matter what it is. And so I hope that you can take some tools away from this talk. We will talk more. We'll continue talking. There are so many different ways that you can take care of yourself, that you can rise your vibration. And that reminds me what else you said about like vibration and just showing up at that as that frequency reminded me of people going to see Amma. You know Amma?
I went to Amma's ashram in India.
Wow. So you just are in the presence of this beautiful woman that reminds me so much of Kapha dosha and earth and water element and Lord Ganesha, because she can hold people with so much compassion and love, and in her presence you heal. So what is that? That's like the vibration. In the same way, when people come to our retreats, again, it's not us, but it's the place. It's the vibration of this earth. It's the vibration that we are aligning to, so that we can be conduits, so that you can remember. And so that explains it so beautifully why people show up to the retreat. They don't often know why they're there. Or they're unsure. They're with a bunch of strangers.
Super
and
scared.
Every single person after the week leaves with something shifted in their heart, in their spirit.
We can't stop yet, because I just have to say that also what happens on retreat is you come with your energy, I come with my energy, and every single being that comes to our retreat has an energy. We work together for a week through the sweetness, through the shadows, through the discomfort, through the blessings and the joys, and then we create a coherent resonance. We all rise and entrain. So you're absolutely right. Everyone has changed, not just the students, quote unquote. We all heal each other. There's a resonance because we're there with the intention of healing, and it will often come up. I think anyone who leads retreat knows that everyone before retreat is scared. They're like, why am I going? I don't want to go. It brings up everything. You're going because you're ready for an upgrade. Everything in your life is telling you it's time to come out of these habit patterns and rise and love myself deeper. And I'll also just say about what your guru said about imbuing what you're eating with prana, with love, with intention. As someone who I have an eating disorder, and that's really powerful for me, because when I overeat, when I binge eat, it's really hard to go into the cycles of how unworthy I am, and how bad I am, and how disgusting I am, and to really beat myself up about it. And when you were talking, I had this vision of me sitting down. Maybe I don't have to eat the whole chocolate cake, but whether I do or don't really doesn't matter, but sitting down with my chocolate cake and saying, I love you. I love you, cake. I love you, body, Lisa. I love the people who made this cake. And I acknowledge the comfort that I want from you. You know, this hole in my soul that the cake is going to fill for a minute. And I love you. And I'll love you after you eat the cake. And the cake is made from cacao from the trees. And I think that as we're ready, we get wiser and we say, oh, my body doesn't like that much sugar and it doesn't feel so great after. So, you know, maybe I'll pray to some pineapple because it'll make, but that's like, again, sit in that darkness and discomfort as long as you need with love. Whatever it might not be, chocolate cake for you, might be some other habit that you have that is less than good for you. I think in all of these discussions of healing, yoga, transformation, it's so easy to add more shame. Oh, I'm not, vibrating high. I'm not drinking lemon in the morning. It's like, oh, can you meet yourself where you are? Again, kind of circles right back. I think we both agree that the very beginning of healing and transformation is to sit in the darkness with love and kind and generous attention, to be in that mud and to trust that you're not alone in there and that the mud, the shit, the manure is needed. It's compost for what's coming. And it is the compost for your transformation. And the manure might come up before retreat. It's like, oh, I don't want to go, or in all different ways. But I often say, if I, having, like I said, been suicidal many times and an addict and super shameful and self-loathing filled, if I can love myself and learn to know that God's source, frequency, prana, love, and energy is inside of me, anyone can. Because I definitely traveled the dark night of the soul, as I know you did too. And where you are is perfect. Where you are right now.
I love that, Lisa. Meet yourself where you are. Yeah, and the rest is,
Meet yourself where you are.
like you said, like the garbage, we put compost into Mother Earth and she transforms it and composts it into a beautiful fruit or a flower. Like, we don't have to know the process of that, and we don't have to control how that happens. And in the same way, we're held. And we have to believe that we can let go of our garbage. And on that note, we will end this podcast episode, and we'll see you soon. And we still have a couple of spots left in our February retreat.
So exciting. Okay. We still have a couple of spots left in our February retreat.
So if you do want to turn the soil of your, stuff and experience transformation, we would love, love, love to have you in the transformational week that we have prepared for you.
In Nasara, Costa Rica, by the ocean.
Yes. Hari Om.